Erin. I am the Education Services Manager here at TrainHeroic, and I wanted to thank you for joining me today for our, as a part of our masterclass series on TrainHeroic FUZE coaching. So this is a 4-part series that we're offering. There's 4 separate chapters, and today we are on chapter 3, creating a winning game plan. You're not behind if you missed the first 2, but I do highly recommend that you join me for those other 2, before this one, and then there is one more chapter afterwards. So the first chapter is building a foundation for scale. So it's getting your account set up, whether or not you want to use teams, like what teams even are. The second chapter is on programming. So learning the tips and tricks and tools to help you build out programming faster. Obviously today we'll work on creating a winning game plan. So we'll discuss rolling this out to your clientele. And then the final chapter is on leveraging the tools within the platform to keep your clients engaged and hopefully, improve client retention. So our entire schedule for the webinar series is on our website, trainheroic.com. There is a menu on the right that you can drop down and select webinars, and that will bring you to the schedule. You'll notice that we do it on a rotating basis. So we'll have those 4 chapters each week. So I'd love to see you on board for a future webinar as well. But for today, we'll go ahead and get started creating a winning game plan. So like I mentioned, the goal here today is we're going to discuss how to roll TrainHeroic out to your clientele. So if you're moving from using another online platform, or maybe we're previously using Google Docs or spreadsheets or anything like that. So making sure that transition from whatever you were using prior to deliver your programming and rolling everyone over to TrainHeroic, making sure that transition is smooth, seamless, and that you feel in a good place to support your clientele as they learn this new platform. So as I was just saying, we're going to try to help you create a plan here to successfully roll TrainHeroic out to your athletes and clients. We are going to go through a step-by-step timeline that we've created on, either having a full solid launch date for everyone at once, or if you're going to make a plan for just rolling this out individually, one by one. And then also making sure that you're comfortable with using the TrainHeroic mobile app so that you can support your clients and athletes if they have any questions regarding how to use the mobile app. So this is the timeline that we have set up here. I'd like you to think about this working backwards kind of. So deciding whether or not you need to have, or you're going to have a full single launch date, like it's a hard start date, everyone's on board at once, that you're going to get started with this, or if you need more of a slow rollout where you'll just trickle it here and there to clients maybe as they come in or as you see them. So this could be different just based on what your coaching business is like. So maybe if you're a personal trainer or you're working more one-on-one with people, you might need to just roll TrainHeroic out individually, one by one, when you see, that specific client, or when maybe they start a new training cycle. If you're going to do a hard launch date, maybe that's more because you have a facility and you need to get the whole gym membership on board at the same time. Maybe you're leaving a different platform. So either way, establish what that launch is going to look like for you, whether it's one set date or if it's going to be per person, and then kind of work backwards from there. So we'll start over here on organize. And what I'd like you to kind of plan out here with organizing is basically what I was just mentioning that the first chapter of this series is. So setting up your account, that account architecture. So deciding whether or not you want to use teams, if you need to use teams. And if you haven't had an opportunity to hop on board for our first chapter of this series, teams are a way for you to organize your clientele. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you are working with a sport team, or that they're actually on a team together. What teams can do is help you organize your clientele so that it helps you with your program delivery and streamlines your communication. So I have my account pulled up here, and I'll just hop in here really quick. I will show you that where you'll look at, or where you get your team set up will be obviously this Teams tab here on this left menu. So I can see right now that I have 4 teams set up right now. If I needed to create another team, or maybe I don't have any teams set up yet, I'm going to use this blue Create Team button on the right corner here. This is where I'll name my team, and then this button will highlight in blue to create team once I've selected a name for the team. So again, keep in mind, even if maybe you're not working with a sport team, you could create teams based on maybe you have a group of weight loss clients, or maybe you have a group of golfers that you work with, and they're just trying to improve their weekend golf game. Anything like that, where maybe you have a group of people who are following the same or a very similar structure of programming. Once you've set up your teams, I'd recommend throwing in an icon here, whether that is your business logo or something related to the focus of the team, and you'll be able to manage that in your team settings here under this wheel. So next steps after you've kind of set up your teams, I'd like you to move to the library for this step, create. So here, what you'll do is you'll spend some time building out either your own custom exercise library, or maybe like some general templates of programming, so that once you have your people on board, you have things ready for them to be delivered to them. So you're not like, they're not getting on board with you and having a blank screen and not really sure what to do. Making sure that you have a little bit of programming ready, and maybe also building out that custom exercise library. So if I jump back to my account here, my library tab down here, that's where you'll be doing most of this creating. You'll default on programs here. So if I'm ready to build out a program, maybe I know, like, maybe I have a general weight loss template that I have people follow, or maybe a general strength building one. I can go ahead and select Create Program in the top right corner here. And then from here, I'll edit the program name, select the length of weeks, Create Program here will highlight blue, and that will bring me to my blank program template to start building out that program. Now I can also review my exercise library by going to this exercise tab. And in here, you'll notice all of the TrainHeroic movements that are a part of our library. They'll all have the gold H next to it. Anything that you've created will have your own organization image on it. So it'll be your custom library. If you want to just look at, your exercises that you've created, you'll filter from the all exercises to the my exercises tab here. Since mine's an admin account, and I am TrainHeroic, my exercises don't look any different. But if you were to switch those, it would just show the custom exercises that you've created. You can build out your exercises and circuits right here from your library. So by selecting one of these 2 buttons, I tend to build custom exercises as I'm building out my program. So I realize that maybe there's something in the TrainHeroic library that is missing, or maybe I don't like the video that's used, or I use a different name for the movement, like my clients know it as something different. I like to do that as I'm building out my programming, because it helps me kind of identify things quicker. But if you happen to have a list of movements that you already know you need added to the library, because maybe you are a physical therapist and you have very specific rehab movements, or maybe you're more in the CrossFit realm and you need more gymnastics movements added to here, that's also fine as well, if you have like a full list that you just want to crank out building out all those custom exercises. So once you've created some, exercises and programs in your library, next step is to prepare. So this is where I recommend that if you have not already, download the TrainHeroic mobile app and experience what the athlete side is like. So throw some programming, a session or 2 on your athlete calendar, and then go to your mobile app and log that session as if you were the athlete, so that you know what that session, what the programming is going to look like. If maybe you decide you need to put in some additional instruction or anything like that. And then you'll also know like the difference between actually logging like volume movements with weight reps versus like maybe marking off like a circuit for completion. This will just help you just feel, more prepared and ready for questions that your clients or athletes might ask once they've downloaded the mobile app and they're ready to start tracking their training. Once you've prepared, we're moving on to connect. So this is where we're getting real close to your launch date. Really, this is where you're going to actually invite your clients and athletes on board. So you'll have two options. We'll head back to my account here. I'm going to go to the athletes tab. And you'll have two options to invite your athletes or your clients. So that's going to be this blue button in the top right corner that says invite athletes. You can either invite them one-on-one, or you can invite them to a team or a group. This is why it is important for you to get your teams or groups set up first, because you'll need to have one to select when you want to invite your clients or your athletes to that team. If I'm going to invite someone one-on-one, that means I'm probably just working with them one-on-one and they don't need to be on a team. I'll select that invite, hit next. And from here, I can enter in their email address. I can actually enter in multiple email addresses. So say I have 10 people who I'm going to be only working with one-on-one, I can actually put all 10 emails in here as long as they're separated by commas, and then send those invites, and it will, with one click of the button, it'll send 10 separate invites out. So you're not, wasting time coming back in here for each individual athlete. I highly recommend that you customize this welcome message. This whole invite will basically send an email to that athlete or client saying, hey, Coach Nelson wants to get connected with you on TrainHeroic. Follow these steps to download the TrainHeroic mobile app and get connected with your coach. So I'd highly recommend that you customize this a little bit more so that there's just some familiarity with it. And maybe it's a welcome message if it's the first time you're working with this person, just so that it's, a little more personalized. Awesome. So I just had a question come through. When inviting someone one-on-one, can they be changed to a team or vice versa? Yes, and actually we'll get to that right now. So if you decide to invite your clients or athletes one-to-one and then later decide they want to be a part of a team, you will be able to move them. And vice versa, if you do start them out on a team or a group, you will also be able to remove them from that team or group, and it won't remove them from your account. So the only thing I wanted to point out here, we'll back out and I'll show you those two things in a second. The only thing I wanted to point out here before we leave the invite is just that your team or group invite looks pretty much the same as your one-to-one invite, but that you need to select a team to invite those people to. So same thing, I can enter in multiple email addresses as long as they're separated by commas. And this will send out all the invites at once with just one click of the button on my end. Again, customize that welcome message if you can. So say I have these athletes on board here, and I have an athlete who I need to move their team status. Really, all I need to do here is I can select their name, and their athlete drawer will pop up on the right. Seems like mine's loading a little slowly for some reason. Nope, there she goes. Okay, cool. So their athlete drawer will pop up on the right, and you'll see it'll default on exercises here, but I'll go all the way to the right to account. And I can scroll down and I can see that Leah is a part of my one-to-one client team that I have on board. If I wanted to remove her from this team, I would just hit this trash can here, and it wouldn't remove her from my athlete list. So realize that that is different than if you needed to remove an athlete from your account completely. So all this is doing is just detaching her from the team, and now we just have a one-to-one relationship. If I needed to add her to another team, like I wanted to swap teams or anything like that, I could go ahead and just hit add team or program access. I think I have a FUZE coaching team, so I can add her to that. Now she's part of both teams. if I would need her to be part of more than one team. So your athletes do have the option of being a member of more than one team if needed. Like say maybe you're leveraging one team for communication and you're leveraging one team for their programming. Or if it's that I'm making the switch completely, I would just hit the trash can on the old team I don't need her a part of anymore. So I'm going to take her back off my FUZE coaching team. It'll say, it'll ask me to confirm this action, and I'll hit confirm. So once your athletes are in your account, they're not like stuck with whatever the initial invite was with. You do have the opportunity to move a one-to-one athlete onto a team or a team athlete off of a team, or athletes onto more than one team or from team to team. So there's a lot of options there. You can also leverage this tab here, this drop down to just look at the athletes on a particular team. So I can see who is on my one-to-one client team here. And then maybe it's, I decided I wanted to remove Leah. I'd click her and then go to her account and do the things that we just talked about. Awesome. Great question. So once you've invited your athletes, next step, if this is possible for you or if you deem it necessary, I'd highly recommend you throw a practice session on your athlete or client's calendar for them to just experience the mobile app and experiencing logging and your expectations with logging prior to their very first day of training. So that maybe, we don't make any mistakes or errors or there isn't like as much confusion. So if you can, I'd highly recommend throw a fake practice session on their account, whether that's just them, you program a circuit that's like, hey, welcome to FUZE coaching with Coach Aaron. Super excited to start working with you. Mark the circuit off as completion and you finished your first session. Anything weird like that or like an introductory thing. You can also, I would highly recommend like maybe including a video of yourself, introducing yourself to that athlete, especially if it's someone you have not worked with before. That will just kind of put a name to a face and create some familiarity there. And then also hopefully clear up some questions on what is expected for logging any like weighted movements versus like marking off any circuits for completion or anything like that. And then finally, you're ready to launch. So hopefully now at this point, you've connected with everyone, you've practiced a little bit, and now you're ready to drop their programming, their actual real programming on their calendar for day one and ready to go. From here, you might have some kinks to work out, whether that's, understanding how your programming is coming across, making sure your expectations are set, making sure that, your athletes are logging properly, and that they know how to use the mobile app completely. Awesome. So I am going to show you really quick how to use the TrainHeroic mobile app. And actually, before I do that, let me throw something on my calendar. So for example, if you as the coach, you'll have access to your own calendar as if you're an athlete. You'll notice the only thing is you just can't message yourself. So you'll select your calendar icon and we'll go to today. And I'm just going to add a session from my library that's already existing here. How about this lower body workout on today, the 25th. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and publish this so that it's available to me as the athlete. So now, give me 1 second here while I pull up my cell phone and I will show you how your athlete will log from the mobile app. And if you have any questions, any more questions in the meantime, go ahead and throw them in the Q&A. Sometimes this takes a minute or two to pull up. Great. Okay, so Okay, so looking at my TrainHeroic mobile app. So as an athlete, the major difference on the mobile app here is going to be that your athletes will not see this first screen. So this is your coach home. This is you as the coach, your basically news feed of recently completed sessions by your athletes or clients. So other than that, your athletes will have access to the rest of the menu options on the bottom here. So it will default to their calendar. So I can see that I'm on my calendar here by my icon, but your athlete will literally just see their own calendar. They won't have an option for a drop down to look at other people's calendars. So as the athlete, when I'm ready to complete this session, I'm going to go ahead and hit start session. This will take me through the readiness survey that is at the beginning of each session to just assess your client or athlete's status prior to training. So I slept pretty good last night. I'm in a happy mood. I guess my energy is pretty good as well. Not too stressed. I am pretty sore though from my workout yesterday. So now the coach instructions. So any additional instruction that you provide to your athlete will come up first here. Obviously not a whole lot of instruction going on here. I'm going to go ahead and just select got it, that I know that I got it done. This warm up here, you can tell is programmed as a circuit, and I only need to mark it off that I've completed it. I don't need to track a time or any sort of reps or volume or anything on that. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as completed. You'll notice that I can either, or as I swipe through, that the dots will show completed. Sometimes I think just because you'll notice here, I think this is my coach instruction one, did not fill in, but it'll show your athlete on the top how far along they are in their session here. So I can see here that this Bulgarian split squat and squat jump are supersetted together. So these two particular movements, since this is a body weight workout, have nowhere for me to log any weight as the athlete. All this really is going to show me is that I need to check it off that I got it done. So as an athlete, I can also edit the reps. So if maybe I decided instead, like I don't know, went above and beyond and wanted to do 20 reps instead, I can go ahead and type in 20 reps. Now, if I just completed what was already prescribed here, I can go ahead and just select that green dot or the green circle there to check it off. And that will have my reps completed. Same thing with my squat jump. Say, for example, maybe I did this whole superset all together and now I'm looking at my phone to check it off. I can select these double checked arrows here to check off all of my sets at once. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the top. And now I have completed this first superset here. So if I slide my screen to the left, I've got step ups and calf raises next. You'll notice under the movement, there's a thumbnail for the video that's attached to this. It will not pull your athlete out of the app, which is nice. So it will keep them right here so they can watch this video if maybe they forgot what a dumbbell step up was. Also, I can review my points of performance. So any technique notes that are on this particular movement. As a coach, if I've left exercise notes for a particular movement, these are right here. So this is what's showing up directly under the exercise. And typically exercise notes are going to be something that is specific to that day's training versus it being tied to the movement all the time. I can see as well that if I look at, or as an athlete, if I've completed this movement before, it will show me my past performance. So the last time that I did some dumbbell step-ups, I used 20 pounds and did 3 sets of 3. So we'll go ahead and select these all off, say that I got them done, and swipe over to my next screen here. I've got some running to do, which is super exciting. So it looks like I need to run for 5 minutes, do some air squats, run for 5 more minutes, and then complete that 2 times through. So let's go ahead and say I did that. And then I'll swipe to my final screen here, which will allow me as the athlete to rank the intensity of the session. So how hard I thought it was, how difficult I thought it was. It is at a 10. Let's call it a somewhat hard because I don't really like running. The training duration should reflect the full session if they opened the app at the beginning or began the session at the beginning of their actual training session and then ended it at the end of their actual ending of their training session. If not, you can also edit the time. So let's say this took me, I don't know, 35 minutes. And I can leave a comment here for my coach. Like, I hate running. Yeah. And then select finish session. It'll give them a little summary of that particular session. I did 8 exercises, 23 sets, and 405 reps. I completed everything that was prescribed to me. I ranked it a 4 on the intensity scale, and it took me 35 minutes to complete. My average readiness score based on my answers in that first on the readiness survey at the beginning was a 3.6, so in a pretty good range. And then I get a little motivational quote down here at the bottom as well. Again, also, your athletes will also have the option to share to social. So they'll be able to share to Instagram specifically and put this on their story. They can tag you, they can tag TrainHeroic, but gives them a little bit of fun social interaction there. A completed session on my calendar as an athlete will look like this. So everything is now green. And I can see that summary card here again on the top. And also you'll notice that the little green or the dot up here, which was black before, is now green because it's completed. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect here. And we've got a couple more minutes here. I think I went a tad over time. But if you have any more questions, please go ahead and throw those in the Q&A box right now.